Welcome back. The drama around the escape of Thabo Bester has dominated headlines. The so-called Facebook rapist is alive and possibly well and possibly living large. It was reported in May last year that Thabo Bester had been found burned to death in his prison cell. But recently, government confirmed the details of a ground-up investigation that found that Bester actually escaped and another dead man was put in a cell and burnt. In all of this, what about the family of a woman he murdered and at least 2 women that he raped? To discuss, we're joined by the CEO of Soul City Institute, and that is Phinah Kodisang. Ms. Kodisang, thank you for being with us. Let's remember, he was in prison serving life, plus several decades concurrently. Do you think the rapes and the murder have been adequately remembered here and the victims of those?
I don't think we've really looked at the victims. At this stage, we are just looking at Bester and, the collusion that happened to get him out of prison. And I don't think up until this point, we have really interrogated what corruption looks like and what corruption is able to do in our society. Look at, the length that people go through because of corruption to disregard justice. I think it's just a total disregard of our justice system, but also I see it as an incompetence of the justice system not to be able to see these things that are happening, and I'm sure even before the report came out, there might have been suspicions, because if I read and follow the news, I see that the height, even the body build of the person they found built couldn't have been that of Bester. But I guess, they just were happy to say, we can't report this because it would bring so much shame on the justice system. Yeah. So it's a pity that we are talking about this, without even thinking or even considering how the victims feel right now, especially the ones he didn't murder, because those ones are probably sitting there with fear that he might come back to finish what he started.
So you're right, because we've waited almost a year for the Department of Correctional Services to say, here's the investigation. That seemed to have been signed off or hurriedly put together as a result of an investigation that was in the media. So do you think there are serious implications for the authorities if he gets out and somebody else has or is raped or murdered?
And we know that, perpetrators of violence usually are repeat offenders. We've seen many cases where a perpetrator is either on bail or they are still going through their trial. They do repeat the offense, So we really need to ensure, because the Constitution talks about safeguarding. It talks about, how women need to be protected. And so where is the protection at this stage? If this person is roaming the street and is living large, as you were saying, able to go to Sandton, do his shopping without even being detected, how is our system following up? Because I'm sure there might have been people. It took so many people to pull this through. So I'm sure even on the outside, it still takes a lot of people to make sure that he's able to live his life as normal, which speaks to our social norms, but also which speaks to how entrenched patriarchal and the patriarchal system is, to be able to pull through such a thing without regarding how the victims of this man, would feel about the whole saga, and the families of those women, how they feel, the ones that he murdered, how this has just reopened their wounds. So we are not even able to move on. People are not able to just, move on and start or try to pick up the pieces of their lives after such a devastation that Bester caused. Yeah, and when you hear how, the police themselves, or the justice system itself, one time they have a report, then they don't have the report. All these things really, really make us lose hope and confidence in our system.
Well, as Iman said earlier, perhaps there was an issue here. I mean, the victims were happy that he had been sent to jail. Our earlier guest said that he doesn't think the old victims would be in danger, but what a miscarriage of justice when your attacker is jailed and then let out, or the family of the woman who was killed obviously saw him being jailed and then let out. Do you think that even more could be done right now? I've seen informal sort of identikits, people saying Thabo Bester is on the run, let's find him. Do you believe those warning bells from government, from the authorities to any potential women out there? Because remember, he's a consummate con man as well. Are they ringing loud enough?
I don't think, for me, I don't see effort from their side. And maybe they are doing something to try and make sure that, they ring the alarm bell, or they try to keep those that he had already harmed safe, because for me, it's like, what is being done right now? Other than look for him to try and clean their name for having failed to keep him in jail, what are they then doing to make sure that the women that are out there who are now triggered by him being out, who don't know what his next move is going to be? Probably he has already started and we don't know. So we really need to get to a point where we follow up. And as you were saying, the police, the minister, everyone in the chain needs to take accountability for what has happened. It cannot just be yet one of those cases where we will look for him forever. Yeah. We need to find who was involved, how they got to the point where they cheated all of us, from getting the little justice that these women deserved or got out of him being in prison.
All right, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time tonight. That was Phinah Kodisang, Soul City Institute CEO.